Hi, and welcome to another Lodgify webinar. My name is Alberto, I'm from the Lodgify marketing team, and I'm going to be your host for tonight. Well, tonight for me, because I'm based in Barcelona, but early morning for some of you. Actually, we have people from all over the world joining us today. So first of all, thank you all for being here with us. In today's webinars, we'll cover two essential elements for any short-term rental owner or property manager: how to offer the best guest experience and how to benefit from that experience to get more positive reviews, which, as you all know, are a key part of this business. To talk about this, I could not think of two better speakers than the ones that we have with us today. Matt Landau, founders of the VRMB and the VRMB community, and if you allow me to say, Matt, also a vacation rental industry superstar. Thank you, Matt, for joining us today. And Christophe Salmon, co-founder of Revyoos, the one and only all-in-one review aggregator for short-term rentals, and also PM since, if I'm not wrong, 2005. Was that correct?
2016. 2005 as a host, property owner, 2016 as property manager.
Cool. Thank you, Christophe, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So within the next hour, we will cover many topics, such as the importance of reviews for your vacation rental, how to increase positive reviews, common mistakes to avoid when seeking those reviews, and hospitality gestures that will make a difference among your guests. In terms of structures, I will start with a short introduction about the webinar, a bit about Lodgify as well. Then Christophe will follow with his presentation, and then Matt will also share his knowledge and experience. And finally, we will leave around 15 to 20 minutes for a Q&A session, where we will try to reply as many of your questions as we can. But before we dive into the presentations, let me share my screen and start with some small technical reminders. So I'm going to share my screen now. There you go. All right. So do you all see my screen? I see. Yep, there's no problems. Perfect. So as I was saying, remember that we cannot see you or hear you, but we can actually read you. And in fact, we encourage you to submit your questions throughout the session, because as we said, we will have a Q&A session at the end. You can also leave your comments. There's a chat section. I see that a lot of people are already commenting where you're from, where your properties are. That's great. That's a good way to interact with each other. So keep doing that. But if you have any questions, either for any of our speakers or for myself, I would ask you to use the section that says ask a question, because there's a lot of us here today. So if you leave a question now, at the end of this session might get lost. So if you use the ask a question section, that way it's easier for us to track all of those questions. And finally, also remind you that we will record the webinar and we will send it to you afterwards. So, well, that's me. I already said it. My name is Alberto. I'm actually the SEO and content lead at Lodgify. And this is just a slide with my email, alberto@lodgify.com, in case you want to reach out to me after the webinar for any follow-up questions. So briefly, what is Lodgify? Most of you may already know, but in case you don't know, Lodgify is an all-in-one vacation rental software that empowers owners and property managers to easily create your own bookable website and accept direct bookings. So with Lodgify, hosts and PMs can manage all the reservations and guest communications from one centralized platform and sync all their listings and calendars from external channels like Airbnb, VRBO, and Booking.com. Just a bit of data about Lodgify at a glance. The company was founded in 2012, and we've grown quite a lot since then. At the moment, we're almost 200 employees. When I joined the company, it was about 3 years ago. We were around 60 people, so that's quite of a growth. And actually, if you've seen the news recently about Lodgify, we just got an investment round of 30 million. And obviously, we're going to invest that money in increase. Thank you. We're going to increase that money. We use that money to increase the team as well, hire more developers, and do a lot of stuff basically to offer the best service and the best features for you guys. At the moment, we speak and support 7 languages. We have customers in 98 countries and growing. And in terms of offices, I'm in Barcelona, which is our headquarters, but we also have offices and teams in the US, Latin America, and UK. So in terms of features, I already mentioned the most important ones: channel manager, PMS, and website builder. And lastly, there are just 3 last things that I want to mention, are 3 features of the latest features that we released in the past months. The first one is the unified inbox. This was a heavily requested feature. Basically, now you can read and reply all your messages from channels like Airbnb, Vrbo, Booking.com, and also your website in one centralized platform. You can create automated messages, WhatsApps, and SMS integration. You can also customize email templates. And basically, you have all your guest communications in one place, so you don't have to be jumping from one platform to another. The second one is the mobile app. We did have already a mobile app back then, but now we've revamped it completely. And it's easier than ever to manage your reservations, your calendar, even your inbox. You have your Untitled inbox also in the palm of your face to make managing your business easier than ever. And the last one, and this is my last slide, is one that I'm really happy to share. It's not live yet. It's going to be, if everything goes well, at the beginning of next week. And it's an integration with Google Vacation Rentals. In case of you don't know, Google Vacation Rentals is a free service from Google that basically triggers, in a nutshell, it triggers a map with all the accommodation in an area when somebody searches for, let's say, vacation rentals in Denver, for example. Then it shows a lot of listings of the accommodations in the area. And now with Lodgify, you will be able to display your own website in that list. This is important because it means that this is not an OTA. So you will not have to pay booking fees or commissions. And any person landing on your profile will be redirected to your website where the transaction will be made. So on top of that, you can also even outrank the most popular OTAs like Airbnb, Vrbo, and Booking.com. So stay tuned for that. We will have more news for you in the upcoming days and weeks. That's it. That's all I had to share. Thank you for listening to me. And now I'm going to pass the floor to Christophe. Let me stop sharing my screen so you can share yours. Thank you very much.
Okay. Do you listen to me? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so before starting with the presentation, I wanted to speak about a bit more about my history in vacation rentals, where Matt and VRMB has a lot to do. As you mentioned, so I'm a co-founder of Revyoos, the only all-in-one review aggregator in short-term rentals. And I'm also property manager. We manage 50 units in Spain and Costa Blanca. And really super excited to have this webinar with Matt today because, Matt and VRMB were really a great source of inspiration for me when I started as a host initially in 2005. I started managing only my own properties as a property owner. Little by little, I started to manage properties of families and friends. And I had like this secret dream of becoming one day a property manager. And it was hard for me to go out of my comfort zone and to take the final decision to quit a very comfortable job, but not working in something I was passionate about. And when you launch a business, a new project, usually you may feel lonely, or this is it was my case. You have like many questions, where to start from, what are the steps, and searching for information. That's how I found VRMB. It was back in 2015, and I became very quickly an inner cycle member of VRMB, and it's really a great way to share tips, experiences, to share best practices, to ask questions, to respond to questions also according to your own experience. And VRMB is really a golden mine of content from peers, property managers, hosts, and where you can find many kind of different advices. For example, for our subject today, advices on guest experience. You can find a lot of information from your peers. And a few months before making the final jump and to quit my job, I was telling Matt by email that I would like to do much more with my vacation rental business, but I currently had no time due to my other job. And his response was that usually a lack of time is also a lack of focus. And I really have this phrase inside of me because it's a very simple phrase, very simple concept, but at the end, when you start to focus on something, things happen. You become like more aware of opportunities. Opportunities appear. This is when I started to meet my business partner that helped me a lot to build my property manager. Also, Matt, you sent me some tools to use, like the listing site independent self-grader. You will remember, or the prioritization matrix. So definitely you inspired me a lot to quit my job and to make a living out of my passion. So very grateful for that. I'm very happy to be in this webinar. And just if it can inspire some of our attendees that are maybe in the situation I was myself in that time, fully focus on it. Don't stay alone and be part of a community. Learn a lot and don't procrastinate, because at the end the perfect moment will never appear. It's when you decide yourself. It's the moment to go.
Wow, that was an incredible introduction. I have to return the favor. When I think it was actually around the time that Chris, you were making this leap. I told you that I was coming through Madrid.
Yeah,
Spain.
absolutely.
And you said, well, all our properties are outside of Madrid, but you should stay with me and my girlfriend. And you offered me a bedroom. And I will never forget it. On that afternoon, we went out and we got onto your motorcycle, your scooter.
We have a good picture of that.
And we cruised through Madrid. And I was just like a huge smile on my face the entire time, because I felt suddenly like it felt like hospitality. That was a very cool, welcoming experience. So with that said, your company Revyoos actually happens to feature in my presentation too. I will pass the microphone over and look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Yes. Thanks, Matt, for the intro. I'm going to share my screen. Just let me know when you see it. Do you see my screen here?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, on my side, I wanted to make a small introduction about the importance of our reviews. We all know and we all speak of the importance of reviews, but sometimes we don't have the clear numbers of how it impacts. So first of all, talking about the factors that influence the decision to book an accommodation when a guest is searching for an accommodation. Here we have the main factors they are going to take into account. It's including also the hotels. And we can see that positive reviews is the third top factor, just after location, value for money. So very, very important factor, our reviews before a guest choose a rental. Our reviews have a strong impact on occupancy, on OTAs. For example, we have this very interesting study from C Transparent, a big data company which analyzes millions of listings on OTAs, and we can see that properties with an average of 4.7 or more have an occupancy rate of 5 percentage points above properties with 4.6 or less. But the biggest importance in terms of occupancy will be the number of reviews. For properties with more than 20 reviews, over 90% increase in occupancy. This is absolutely insane, and it depends on the countries. Some countries have more impact than others. Spain and France are the biggest one, but US also have a big, strong impact. But generally speaking, all over the world, 90% increase in occupancy rate. Being a super host on Airbnb also have a strong impact on the occupancy and also ADR, average daily rate. $7 average daily rate increase for Superhost respect to normal listings, and 9 points of occupancy rate higher. In terms of the review factors consumers care more about, here we have the list, what the consumers before choosing a business. We are not talking only about vacation rental here, but about consumer generally speaking when they search for a business. The overall star rating, legitimacy. With so many fake reviews, it's very important to be able to show that our reviews are real and comes from genuine guests in our side. The reviews have to be recent. The sentiment is what, if we are talking about a positive or negative review, the quantity of reviews. Responding to reviews is also a very important factor. having the ability to show that you have reviews on different websites is also an important factor. Length and details, and if the review include photos. So after this intro, I wanted to show you the top 5 mistakes to avoid with your reviews as a property manager or host. Personally, I made all of them, principally in my beginnings. And really, I became aware of all the potential and all of the value of my reviews when I lost them while I was migrating my account on an OTA from property owner to property manager. I lost all my past reviews on some of my listings, and really it was like my first moment to discover how important are our reviews and how they impact us. So I wanted to share some these 5 top mistakes some or many property managers make. Speaking with many hosts and property managers, I could see that I wasn't the only one to do them. So let's have a look to them. So mistake number 1: only publishing good reviews on our website. This may seem counterintuitive, but there are many studies around that showing how only 5 stars is too good to be true. Northern Western Middle made this study, a strong study around reviews, and they could see that while it may seem counterintuitive, negative reviews can have a positive impact because they establish credibility and authenticity. At the end, only a few bad reviews will give more credibility to the massive amount of good reviews we have. We generally are obsessed with only getting 5-star reviews, and obviously we work for that to give the best experience ever. But at the end, with hundreds of stays and hundreds of guests in our rentals, things happen. So we have to, at the end, embrace those bad reviews, make a good response, a good professional response. The response always thinking in our future guest, not responding necessarily directly to the guest, where sometimes we would be inclined to make an angry response, but we always have to think in our future guests. Conversion rate according to the average star rating. Here we also see this concept of only 5-star reviews too good to be true. We can see in this analysis how what is the evolution of the occupancy of the conversion depending on the review score, and with the peak conversion at 4.9 and absolutely drops at 5. People don't believe with so many fake reviews. Consumers do not believe companies with only 5-star reviews. And what we could see with this analysis from per reviews is the fact that at the end, consumers filtering to see bad reviews have a 108% conversion higher than consumers that do not interact with reviews. So really at the end, reading 1-star reviews help customer to determine what is the worst case scenario, but not will prevent them necessarily to rent our rental. Mistake number 2: not proactively request reviews nor following up. What we can see with data also, only 22% of travelers wrote a review without having been asked, while 76% of consumers that are asked to leave a review will go and write one, according to Bright Local. And this comes from Brian Chesky, the Airbnb CEO himself, saying a few years ago that 72% guests leave a review to host. So this percentage has some time, so maybe it have slightly changed over the last year, but anyway, it shows us that the fact that proactively requesting reviews, probably as property managers, we notice that Airbnb is usually the OTA where we get more reviews, because they are sending three reminder if the guest or the host do not leave a review. So very important to proactively do it. And one last reason also is to customers with a bad experience are 2 to 3 times more likely to write an angry review than customers that had a great experience will write a good review. Mistake number 3, not responding to all reviews. This one is a mistake I did myself until not so long, but mainly due to the lack of time. But this is a very, very important, and we are going to see very massive, impactful data around that. So to the question, how likely are you to use a business that deals with the reviews responses in the following ways? You can see that the businesses and companies responding all the reviews are twice as much likely to be used by consumers respect to those that do not respond to any reviews, 89% versus 43%. So it's important not to focus only responding to bad reviews. This is what we did ourselves until 1 year and a half ago. But now we try to absolutely respond all the reviews. Another study show how the response rate of reviews have an impact also on conversion. Here we can see overall that made another study showing how companies responding 30% of reviews got on average an 80% conversion rate increase. And also, not only your response rate will impact the conversion, but it can also impact the review star itself. Harvard Business Review made a test with hotels that until now didn't respond to reviews, and from the moment they started to respond to reviews, and after 6 months doing so, 1/3 of them succeed to increase their review star rating by half a star. Even Google recommend us to respond to reviews, and this comes from Google support website itself when they are talking about how to manage and respond to reviews. So obviously, not only because it will show to how customers that we value their feedback, but also it can improve your business visibility and increase the likelihood that the shopper will visit your location. So replying to reviews even have a SEO impact. So keep in mind that responding to reviews will make a big difference. Fourth mistake, not making use of third-party reviews. So with third-party reviews, we are talking about the ability to display on your own website the reviews you have across the different listing sites and the booking channels. This will increase a lot your trust and credibility. There is here a mix between marketing and psychological concept called the multiple source effect. And reviews play with this concept, and people give more authority to ideas that are stated by a number of sources. We have to keep in mind that our own reviews, the one we get directly on our website, are probably the most not with lower quality reviews, or the reviews where potential guests will wonder more if we are talking about real reviews, while OTA reviews and external reviews, verified reviews, have much more authority. So having the ability to display a mix of our own reviews, but also all the reviews we have across the different channels, will make a strong impact. And Bright Local could see how 70% consumers are used to look at multiple business review sites when choosing a business. So at the end also, if you are able to display all your reviews on your own website, you will avoid the possibility that a potential guest will end up searching for information and reviews about you and end up booking through an OTA instead of booking directly with you. OTAs themselves are making use of third-party reviews. For example, VRBO Fast Start. This was a pilot VRBO did to boost new listings on their portal for new listings, but existing listings on Airbnb. They were showing a badge showing the average star rating and number of reviews this property has on other OTAs, and the results were massive. 25% increase in bookings, 50% increase in book night, 140% increase in gross booking value. So the impact of third-party reviews, verified third-party reviews, is absolutely massive. And even Booking more recently did the same. Now we do not only have Booking reviews, but also for new listings on Booking.com, we have this external review score where they explain that these reviews come from other OTAs and adapted to booking point scale. And last mistake, not using rich snippets. So rich snippets, when we talk about rich snippets, is the ability to show on Google search results your star rating and number of reviews. The rich snippets have a very strong impact on SEO to give you more visibility and more direct traffic. You can see here also the evolution depending on your review star, how it can impact your click-through rate. So the reviews really have a strong impact to drive more traffic and increase your visibility in Google search engine. And also your reviews have additional SEO impacts, like the fact if you display all your reviews, you will display more content, more keywords, more long tail keywords, which will help you also to rank better. I won't get too much into detail with these more technical concepts of dwell time and bounce rate, but at the end, every content, user-generated content like reviews, help to rank better. The fact also your potential guests spend more time on your website. Very few words about us with reviews. So with our platform, we are specifically designed to help you as managers and hosts to regain control over your property reviews, improve your trust, SEO, and direct bookings, to automatically collect and display all your reviews on your website from the main sources, main OTAs, Airbnb, Booking, Revyoos, and so on, and display your reviews on your website using one of the widgets, and also the dashboard to keep control of your reviews, keep a backup copy of absolutely all your reviews. And to finish, I just wanted to finish with this phrase, because at the end we have seen many concepts, many data, and it's very important not to remain in the theory. I invite you not to believe any data and any stat we saw, but at least to give the opportunity to see it in your own business, to put in practice some of the tips we saw and see the results in your own business.
Wow, that was great. Thank you, Christophe, for sharing all those insights. I'm sorry.
Pleasure.
Well, they're gonna be super useful for everyone to understand the importance of reviews and also those tips. In the end, a lot of people always focus on just 5-star reviews, and like you just show the conversion rate, that's a big. Obviously, we need 5-star reviews, but not just 5-star reviews, because it shows that you're a real business, and not everyone is going to be always happy. So
absolutely.
Thank you. Also, just a quick comment before I pass the torch on to Matt. That also, if you're a Lodgify customer or a Revyoos customer, you can integrate, because in the end, both softwares are integrated one with each other. We have a current integration. So yeah, that's a perk if you're either one of us, a customer.
Absolutely.
So yeah, Matt, now it's your turn.
All right. Should I share my screen?
Yep.
All right. How are we doing?
Good.
Can you see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Yes, all good.
Sorry, I muted myself. Yeah. All good.
Excellent. To the audience, we should say that I'm by far the most complicated person on this call. We spent the majority of our preparation time trying to figure out how to help me share my screen. So I'm glad we found our way. Today's presentation is called Limited Edition Hospitality as the New Marketing. And for those of you who I don't know, I wanted to share a little bit of background information, how I got my start in vacation rentals. And I want to share a story that happened over the course of the last several days that I think is a really nice example of the objectives that everybody's trying to achieve here. And it starts off in 2006. I graduated from university and promptly did the exact opposite of what everybody in my class was doing. I moved down to Central America, and specifically Casco Viejo, which is the historic district of Panama City, Panama. I know a number of you have visited. In the early days, Casco Viejo was quite a rough neighborhood. Most of the buildings were kind of like you can see here, forgotten from decades of decline. However, I stayed in a vacation rental, and that was my first real experience into professional vacation rental hospitality. And I was so moved by the experience that I ended up buying the business. And over the course of the next 10 years of my life, I became a community member of Casco Viejo and a business owner. And I left that entire experience with one really important lesson. And it's what we call the theory of limited edition. So when I was looking at properties, there was a real estate broker named Patricia who was walking me around. And she explained that because Casco Viejo was a UNESCO World Heritage Site, there were very tight rules on how you could build. You couldn't build up or beyond what was the existing footprint and facade. And she explained that because these strict rules were in place, the value of the properties was preserved because there would only ever be a fixed amount of properties on the market in Casco Viejo. And she said, and I'll never forget these words, she said, it is a limited edition investment. I was like, wow, I'll take two. That limited edition idea ended up framing all of my hospitality in Casco Viejo. And it's primarily what I spend my time researching now. And I won't go too deep into it. It's an entirely separate workshop. But the theory of limited edition is built on four pillars, four differentiators that I believe every vacation rental manager and owner on this call already kind of does, but merely needs a little bit more emphasis and consistency. The first is family owned and operated. Chances are the vast majority of the people on this phone call are family. The second is locally based, not headquartered across the country or across the world. The third is specialized, to be specialized in a particular geography, in my case, community or neighborhood. In some cases, to be specialized in a particular special interest, whether it's pet-friendly or eco-friendly vacation homes. The fourth and final pillar of limited edition, and that which I'd like to use as the lens for the story that I'd like to tell you today, is surprises. So delightful surprises that we associate normally with our favorite boutique hotels. The theory of limited edition argues that if you're engineering these little surprises into the guest's experience, you have that customer for life. Nobody can compete with these four pillars. And just in case anyone has not heard me talk about limited edition, the four letters, family, local, specialized, surprises, spell out the word floss. And for those who don't speak English as a first language, floss is the thing that you use on your teeth. The reason that's so funny is because it's really good. Because with limited edition, you need to be doing these things regularly. Daily, you need to be reiterating that you're family owned and operated, locally based, specializing in any particular type of property and delivering delightful surprises. I am the only person in the vacation rental sector that has custom ordered his own floss. Some of you might have been lucky enough to receive one of these at a conference. Funny side note, the company that I make the floss from, they all think I'm really cool. They talk about me in the office as the only non-dentist that has his own custom floss. So pretty honored about that. But I mentioned that today's story about this experience that I had over the course of the last few days is about the fourth pillar of limited edition, and that is surprises. Delightful surprises that only the one-of-a-kind limited edition businesses can do. And the argument here is that if you're doing these pillars of limited edition regularly, you are carving out a moat. You're creating a positioning for your independent brand that cannot be competed with, no matter the size of the company trying to infiltrate. So this fourth pillar of surprises paves the way for my visit to Texas Hill Country. Not sure how many people have heard of this place. I know I had not. It's located about an hour from both Austin and San Antonio, Texas. So it has this really unusual drive-to market combined with a sector of grape growing and winemaking that has exploded over the last 10 years. It was accelerated by COVID. Everybody in those cities wanted to get away. And this market is almost so popular with short-term rentals to a fault. And I'll touch on some of the downsides of just being in this industry to begin with in a little bit. But I was there visiting a company called Cozy Vacation Rentals. And this is actually the home that I stayed in. It was called Starry Night. It was really a beautiful property that was looking out over the Texas Hill Country. And the first two things that I can tell you about Cozy that I think make it stand out from competition is one, their use of technology. Matt Durrett, the owner, is a huge champion of embracing technology, almost to the point of exhaustion. They use 27 tools in their technology stack, not coincidentally, one of which is Revyoos. Chris, you'll be proud of them. It's always nice to have a user of your software who is actively like championing it to others. And that's what Matt was doing to me before I told him I'm coming on this webinar with you guys. The technology stack that Cozy has built is allowing them to achieve things that were never imaginable several years back. And frankly, using that tech stack has allowed them to soar past competition that's not willing to be quite as technologically fluent. It is insane that he is using 27 tools in his technology stack. I'm not suggesting you need that. Start with one. But the point here is embracing the technology has allowed them to exceed all of their competitors. The second thing about Cozy that makes them really unique for me is their use of something called EOS. That's Entrepreneurial Operating System, which is actually kind of new to me. I didn't know about it up until our Keystone retreats where Matt was telling me about it. But in short, EOS is a way of systematizing your entire business, of putting processes in place so that you can hire somebody for that process. You can hold them accountable to that process. All of your team are working on their transparent processes, and everybody is rowing in the same direction. And this EOS is a complete game changer in the vacation rental industry. I doubt you will hear it on stage, rarely, if not ever, but it is a huge game changer. Whether you're like Matt and you have 300 properties, or you have one property and you're trying to put some processes in place to hire somebody so that you're not working all day and all night and so that you don't burn out. So those two things, embracing technology and EOS, were huge for me. But the one that I want to focus on today is Cozy's use of the surprises, that fourth element of limited edition. They are family owned and operated. They are locally based in Texas Hill Country. They do specialize in these particular kinds of homes in this very confined region. But it is the surprise factor that I want to talk about today. This is Matt's dog, Major, looking out over the sunset as we arrive, just so you can get a feeling for the vibe. It's incredibly calm. And this is what they left for us on the countertop. This is a beautiful little charcuterie board. They included 2 bottles of local wine, encouraging us to check out that particular vineyard, something that everybody can do here if you're not in wine country. Consider the surprise of a bag of local coffee, a low-hanging limited edition win right there. This little handwritten note takes maybe 5 minutes to write. I'm going to talk a little bit about the cost of limited edition and its return in just a moment. But this kind of thing is something everybody here can do, and it can be catered, no pun intended, to your location and your property type. So we checked into this beautiful home, starry night, and we were recommended Heath Sparkling Wines, which is one of their favorite vineyards. I'm not much of a wine guy. I'll probably be offending plenty of Europeans on this call, plenty of Americans too. I'll drink anything, basically. I'm not very discerning, but this place was incredibly cool. It felt like we were entering a James Bond wine factory. And the thing I liked most, and I took a video of it, was in the bottom of each sparkling wine glass were these 4 etched marks, like little etched marks in the glass. And I asked him, what is this for? And he said, I'm about to pour you your first glass. And check this out. So there's something about the etched mark on the bottom of the glass that channels all the bubbles straight into this little pillar. It was so cool. So I took like way too much video of this happening on slow-mo. It was a really cool experience. I would have never known to visit this particular place had Cozy not suggested through the little text messaging app that it's one that they're liking and that their guests are liking. So referring guests to a really special experience is an easy, low-hanging element of surprise. Our next activity was to summit the Enchanted Rock. Enchanted Rock or Enchanted Mountain, one of the two. This is the tallest point in the entire region. And as I learned when we first arrived there, it was in danger of being sold to people who wanted to create an amusement park on it. And they wanted to turn this rock face into the Texas version of Mount Rushmore. Very American of us. At the time, Lady Bird Johnson, the wife of Lyndon B. Johnson, petitioned the park conservancy person to buy the land before the amusement park guys could ruin it. And they did. For like $1.3 million, they bought the entire thing. And so Matt said, we're going to walk up to the top of that. And we did. And it was amazing. That's us at the summit there. You'll notice that it had rained. So all these little pockets on the rock were forming these little like pools. And it almost started to look like it was another planet being way up at the top there. Here's another picture of me, like I called it Landau Planet. I called it Landau Planet because you can see, because it gives you perspective. You can see where you came from and where you're going. It was nice to invent my own planet. I also remembered this comment from Yua, who was up there as well. She said in this movie, Prometheus, a sci-fi movie, they're entering to assess this new world of alien life. And they identified that because there was a straight line on the surface of the planet, it must have intelligent life form because God does not make things in straight lines. And I thought that was really cool because from this vantage point, you could see for just hundreds of miles, and then you'd see these little roads perfectly carving through the organic landscape. It was really cool. It was a really neat day experience. Before we headed down to town, which is such a unique, sort of surreal kind of downtown. So there's this German influence. I don't remember exactly why. There's this crazy architecture. Everything's really clean. Everything's really beautiful. And the Cozy team recommended we try out a vineyard. And it was called Becker Vineyards. I remember the name because this was my favorite place that we tried. I particularly fell in love with what I think is my favorite Cabernet Sauvignon in the world. If anybody is a wine person, I'll be coming back to this wine in just a second. But Becker Vineyards was, I believe, if not the first, the second local vineyard in Fredericksburg. And the person that I was speaking with, a waitress, we ended up having this really meaningful conversation about how short-term rentals are affecting the economy, how they're affecting the community. And we settled on all these agreements, like this is a movement that is happening. This is market forces driving the popularity of something that people really like. We also agreed on some of the difficult challenges that come with that. And one was that this particular waitress could not afford to live there anymore. She literally was leaving her apartment that weekend, this weekend. I needed to find a place to stay for her and her 2 daughters. But all the prices were way too high, and she would have to pay the equivalent of a short-term rental nightly rate. Real shit that is happening around the world because of our industry, for better and for worse. And that was, strangely enough, the most meaningful conversation of my entire visit, because it shows the best, the brightest, the most beautiful aspects that our industry can bring to people. I got to experience it myself, but also the very real challenges that someone like that was struggling with, who's actually working at the tourist establishments, who's servicing people that come to town. So it was our final evening in Fredericksburg, and I got to meet Matt and Jenna's team. And that's me giving them a little spiel. But the general thesis that I'm taking away and that I'd like to impart on you guys today is that the hospitality element that I experienced, the surprising little gestures that involved setting expectations and exceeding expectations, those little gestures, when done consistently, end up becoming your best marketing compared to listing sites, for instance, in different ways. So this is part of a new framework that I'm building that's called Parlay. It'll be included in VRMB membership. But the general idea here is that we need to use all these tools, these listing sites, to generate as many inquiries as humanly possible, because it's cheap and easy and powerful. We need to do all we can to convert those inquiries into guests. But when the guest comes into our sphere, this is when the hospitality begins. And the idea behind the cheese plate and the recommendations and the little gifts that cost money, that take time away from you and your team, the idea behind these gestures is that the ROI is huge. Because suddenly that guest who has that remarkable experience, who writes the 5-star review, like I just did, we are so smitten with the experience that the next time that we book, we're booking directly through you. That is a fact. If the next time we hear somebody coming to Fredericksburg, they're coming straight for you because you wowed us with the hospitality. And it has a cost, an investment rather. It has an investment that was not on the traditional accounting columns of marketing. But I'm arguing here that if we're starting to see these kinds of investments as long-term marketing plays to really wow people when they are on site, staying in our towns and in our communities, that is the single best way to become independent. And Matt and the team at Cozy are on track to reach 75% direct bookings, despite 300 properties and growing. 75% direct bookings by 2024. And I believe upon departing that it's all based on these core pieces and viewing that hospitality as the ultimate limited edition gesture that only you can make. So with that said, I wanted to share very briefly the community that Chris was talking about at the very beginning. He's been a member since the very beginning. VRMB Communities is a private forum. We have a free newsletter that a lot of you are signed up to that goes out every week. In fact, one will be coming out tomorrow. But for those who want to kick it up a notch, we encourage you to become a member of VRMB Communities. Becoming a member means having access to the entire forum where people like myself and Matt Durrett from Cozy and Christophe are actively problem solving and building limited edition brands. Another part of the community is our structured learning. So you heard me talk about limited edition framework, listing site independence framework, the parlay framework. These are all part of the structured learning. And finally, in-person events, that's where all the fun happens. Any membership of VRMB Communities comes with, it includes a ticket to our private events, which are a really nice chance to meet quality humans like we have on the call here today. I would like to encourage everybody to join. The cost is $55 a month. It's designed for the smallest and the most creative of vacation rental professionals. You will be grandfathered in if you join today at that rate, as the price will be going up. I will be adding the join link to the chat feature. And I promised the wine would make an appearance again. If you join today, I will be picking one of you and gifting my favorite wine ever that I discovered, the Cab Sav from Brett Becker Vineyards. I got it on a little gift card. So I'll be giving that away to one person who joins. This has been a real treat. Thanks to Lodgify, and most importantly, thanks to Alberto, who put in tons of time, and I'm guessing his team, in making an event like this. I certainly could not do it, and I'm very appreciative to be here. So thank you all.
Thank you very much, Matt. It was great. I mean, I'm just thinking about getting a ticket flyer right now and going to Texas and stay at that place. It was amazing. Well, I mean, again, thank you for all your tips, Chris, Matt. It's been great. Now we have a few questions from people. There's even some business going on in the chat, like regarding wines after what you said. So we may have built like new business relationships and everything. There was a nice comment that someone is also going to include winery in the welcome book, in the guidebook. So this is really interesting. I think it's the first time that this happened. So, all right. So let's jump now into some of the questions. Some of them are related to reviews, like reviews and reviews. Some are addressed to Matt. Some are about Lodgify. So, well, let's start with the first one. Let me find. We have 10 for now. If you have some questions, please put them in the Ask a Question section. We will try to answer. We're almost out of time, but we will try to get a few of them done. So, question I think that's more, well, both of you can answer it, is, are reviews more important than, for example, length of stay, like in terms of like KPIs? I'm just starting with my first vacation rental property, and I have heard reviews are a bit less important, but I'm not sure. So I would say everything is important in that case, but I'll leave you guys to answer this one.
Yeah, well, I mean, as property managers, there are many KPIs you have to follow. As a property manager myself, I would say length of stay and reviews are absolutely different KPIs that do not help you to follow the same information. Depending if you are focusing more on guest experience and how you are performing as a property manager related to your guests, your reviews are absolutely the best KPI to follow. Regarding length of stay, as I understand length of stay as a property manager myself, it's the way you manage your pricing and your the minimum length you will set in your PMS to attract the different type of customers. So yeah, for me, it's really, we are talking of two different KPIs.
I would add one KPI I think is really important that a lot of people overlook is the lifetime value of a guest. When you suddenly see that if a repeat guest comes on average 3 times and spends on average $10,000 over the course of those 3 times, justifying the cost of a cheese tray is way easier. Also, I like to encourage people to calculate from the very first day the ratio of OTA bookings to repeat or referral or direct bookings. Because if you can show that the trajectory of your listing site bookings will one day intersect with your direct bookings, you've established a path to independence. So I think having a little dashboard and knowing what percentage of every booking each month comes in through a listing site versus one that's booked direct is indicative of the health of a business.
Mm-hmm. True. Oh, all right. Next question is a more technical one. So it's can Revyoos collect the reviews from my Lodgify webpage? I mean, the answer is yes, but I don't know if Chris, if you want to build about it further about the integration.
Yes, if you want, you can send me. You can contact with me. I will let you know how it works more deeply. But yet with reviews, you can collect automatically all your reviews from main OTAs. Regarding Lodgify reviews, you can upload them manually using an Excel document to insert your past reviews, but you can also request your future reviews directly through our platform.
Then we also have another one about little touches. I guess this one is for Matt. So what's the best way to add little touches to a more rural property without as many activities?
I think that the gesture of reaching out and asking how things are going and keeping an open line of communication, friendly and light, the text messaging element really achieves that for me. I don't like receiving a phone call from somebody the night that I checked in. I love receiving a little text message. Hey there, my name's Alberto. If you need anything, I'm here. I like that. And I also love, that's a little touch. That doesn't really cost anything. In fact, a lot of apps like I think Breezeway has that built into a check-in procedure. I think little gestures that you are available and little maybe hints, if you learn that this person is into wine, or if you learn that they have a family, little thoughtful recommendations that would appeal to them feels one of a kind. And that doesn't cost much.
Mm-hmm. There's another question also for you, Matt. By the way, there are a lot of more technical questions also related to Lodgify. We have a couple of people from the company in the chat, Andre and Juancho, they are replying all of these questions. So if you left something regarding Lodgify, please go back to your question because they have already replied everything. So that way we can give more time to our speakers today. So Matt, you mentioned that there's a Roger here says that you're right about once that person goes through that door, it's your customer, and how to get them to repeat. But how did you get them the first time, and how do you make sure you're getting the right person, the right people in, basically?
It's an oversimplified question, and if you've been doing this enough, you begin to see that it's actually one part of a much bigger, much more complex system. So I'll answer it in an ultra simple way. To get people in the door without any other work, use a listing site. Optimize your listing and generate inquiries. That's amazing. That was never available back when I was running my business. We had to actually do it the old-fashioned way. That's an easy way to get people in the door overnight, but we've established that that's not sustainable. You don't want to be dependent on any one business, much less the single or 2 channels that you generate your leads from, in order to run a lifestyle business or something that you're really passionate about, which is where you have to see the bigger picture. and you see that a guest comes in through a listing site, you convert them, they stay in your home, you do a fantastic job, then they depart. And that's when the advocacy begins. That's when we reach back out and notify them of things that are happening in the neighborhood. We notify them that the same home that they were looking for, there's an even better one that's available next year. A newsletter, for instance, is a very low cost way of generating repeat business, staying front of mind so that that guest who stayed with you, who had a great time, refers and repeat stays. So I just think it's really important to recognize that how do we get people in the door? That's a overly simplified question. On an immediate level, use a listing site. If you're actually planning on building something that will last, see the whole picture and recognize that hospitality, when done right, begins a flywheel.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Well, I mean, we're already 2 minutes out of time. There are some questions left. We will try to get them answered. We will prepare like a recap of the webinar. We will upload the video and send it to you guys. And also, if there are some questions left, we'll try to answer them on that blog post recap that we will send to you probably by Friday. I just see also one last comment about David. He would like to automate as much as possible. Just a quick note to finish that we will have some really nice offers at Lodgify, but for Black Friday, like I guess every company is doing. So stay tuned for that, because it's a good way if you're starting your business to automate everything and also create your own vacation rental website to get those direct bookings as a second step, as Matt said. Once you have your listing on Airbnb or any channel, then you also need a direct booking website to convert those direct bookings. So with that said, again, thank you very much, Chris, Matt. It was a real pleasure. Thank you everyone as well that was on that call. There's a lot of people, a lot of comments. Sorry we could not answer all of them. We ran out of time, but it's been amazing. Thank you guys for being here.
Thanks for the invitation.
Good job, Alberto.
Thank you. See you in the next one.
See you, everyone.